the coffee. I don't want to miss. I'm going to miss if I go downstairs.
Yeah, sure. 100%.
More there too.
So we have this week, we have P.Reye, and P.Reye always comes out connected with Shiur. Either P.Reye is Shabbos Mevorchim Elo, or like this year, it's the first day of Rosh Chodesh. P.Reye actually comes out the first day of the 2 days of Rosh Chodesh. So that indicates that P.Reye has a very integral connection with the whole concept of Chodesh. And we must say, according to the Klal that we brought in on many occasions, the Shiur HaKodesh tells us that whenever certain things occur in the calendar, like Yom Tovim or special Zmanim, and they come out in certain parshas, like we read according to the Zayda of the parshas of the year, then those two things must have a connection, even though it could possibly be that the actual time of keeping that Yom Tov may be at another time. But the fact that we read it, and we how much more so when we actually keep it, and it comes out with the Kriya of that time of the year, there must be some integral connection between them. So the fact that every year P.Reye and Chodesh Elul always verge together, particularly at the beginning of Elul, then we have to say there's some integral connection. U'lechoira, lo yirak she'ein kesher bein P.Reye lechodesh Elul. If we look at a surface glance, it would seem, says the Rabbi, that not only there's not really much connection between P.Reye and Chodesh Elul, ela la'ifach. It would seem even to the opposite, that l'chol echad mehem yeshno mashmois hafucha mechavata. Each one has got an opposite implication than the other. So the Rabbi is going to show that if you examine the basic concept of Elul and the main theme which occurs at the beginning of P.Reye, then it seems that they're like different to the point of being opposite themes, not similar things. So he says, Chodesh Elul madgish davke es avedas ha'odom. As we've had before on other occasions, we've had v'nageh to Elul, that the Rosh Tevas of Elul, as we know, is brought down in the Tur and in the Abu Draham and other great early commentators, that they say the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Ani l'doidi, v'doidi li, well, that's a Rosh Tevas Elul, and that's a very accepted Rosh Tevas, brought down to many. Towards the end of the Sikha, the Rabbi will tell us other psukim with Rosh Tevas, which indicate also Elul, but this one is very well known. Chodesh Elul madgish davke es avedas ha'odom. The union of Elul stresses to us precisely the aveda of the mensch, lehitkarev el hadoid ha'ol HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That his whole union is to bring himself near and to make himself close to the loved daughter. They call it, I don't know how to call that, to the loved one who's called a Kodesh Baruch Hu.
Beloved.
Yeah, so there he says, that's the beginning, Ani l'doidi. From that it indicates that even though the continuation of that pasuk says v'doidi li, which means the divine help and the divine influence from Elmaila, but it would appear that that divine influence, Milmaila, won't occur and won't be granted to you unless you make your effort. First of all, it has to be Anila, Ladoidi, and then you'll reach the Doidi Li. And so there was the Rebbe Barak Toitzoa Mikach. Only as a result of that, Magia HaEzra Elokis, then there comes the divine assistance, which is Vadoidi Li. But that divine assistance is a Toitzoa, how do you call it, a result of you having made your effort. Ve'ilu Pashas Reye Madgisha, it stresses if we look carefully at Pasha Reye, which we're going to do now, then we'll see that Pasha Reye tends to indicate that everything really comes Milamayla, and all the important things in a man's life, and everything, including his avodas Hashem, all comes from Hashem, all comes from above. Believe, as it were, the necessity on his part to be an even of Anila, Doidi Malamatala, Lamaila. And therefore he says that's expressed in the words Re'ei, Anoichi Neisen Lefnechem Hayim Bracha. That's the first pasuk of the Parsha Shavua. So the Rebbe said, Bracha Zu, Shenimsheches Lefnei Yisrael, Melamaila Lamata. He said this union of a blessing, what is one on it, but the whole idea of a blessing is Melmaila Lamata, from above down. Hashem gives a blessing, and the Koyanim, for example, are mamshik a blessing, Melmaila Lamata. They bring down from above to the lower world the blessing. So the Rebbe said, if we examine every word in this first pasuk, then we're going to see that all of them stress this whole concept of Milamaila, from above down to us, without what would appear any necessity of us making the effort from below. Therefore he says the word Re'ei Mivatei Yehafnama Amuka V'Gavoya Yoter Ha'inin Mashu Ro'im Niklat Yesa Mimashu Shomim. Something that you see has a much more profound effect on you than something that you hear. And so therefore, the Rebbe brings over there in the Sikha, and it's just kedai to mention it, that there's a klal brought down in the Mechilta, but it's also mentioned in the Gemara, in Masechta Kesubah, that the Gemara says, Ein adoimer re'iyah l'shmiyah, that you can't compare seeing to hearing. And that has a halakhic upshot, in that the Gemara says that somebody who is a witness of something that happened, he can't become the judge on the Bezdin to hear the Eidim. In other words, the whole way in which the Torah tells us that a judgment is to be decided is that you have a person called the judge, and he's called a dayan, and he has to hear from Eidim. Now, it's just less so happen that the guy you want to be the judge, he saw what happened. Yeah? Now, if he saw what happened, then he can't sit and listen to people telling him what they saw. But he saw it himself. And therefore, if he saw somebody do something, then you will never convince him by thousands of Eidim, you will never convince him that this guy is innocent. But if he didn't see it, then that always remains a question. And therefore he hears what other people tell him. But when you hear two people telling you what they saw, sometimes they can be varying ways of saying that, and the Dan might understand that differently than what they try to give over, or so on. And so what happens is that when you see something, you see the whole entirety, and then when you tell it to somebody, you go down into detail. But if you only hear something, then you hear all the details one after the other, and then you have to put them together into some clarity in a form of summarized form. But you didn't see it. So therefore, that's what the Gemara means, that ain't a doim, a re'il, a shmiya. When I see something, I see it with all its full entirety. And if I see it with all its full entirety, it has an unshakable effect on me. And like the Gemara says, he would never be able to hear that this guy's not guilty because he saw it. So that's not what the Gemara wanted. The Gemara wanted it should be a man who didn't see it, and he hears. That's the way the Torah tells us the judgments must be made. So therefore, since Rio is such a high experience and it has such a lasting effect on the person, therefore that's like a divine gift. It's like something that comes milamaila with one tremendous, it's like a upper way. Once you've seen it, then you don't need the details. But if you hear details and you try to reach a conclusion, then you're going from the bottom up. So that's one thing. And then he said the word anoichi, mevatei madrege elokis atzmiyas. The very word anoichi is Hashem referring to him. So, and the word anoichi, it can only be taken as meaning his essence, because the word anoichi means I. And if Hashem's saying about himself I, then he's referring to his own essence, which is beyond all ability to describe. Therefore, that's a madrege elokis atzmiyas v'gavoya yoseh me'asher habitui ani. There's another word in Hebrew which means I, and that's ani. So ani v'anoichi both mean I. Now what's the difference between them? So it's put down, Rashi brings it in Pasha Vayishlach, or Pasha Vayetza, I'm sorry. Rashi brings down over there that the oish shekein ha'oish kof hamitoisevas b'mila onoichi, that when you add the letter kof to ani, then you get onoichi. So the Rabbi said, what's the difference? That kof misamelas is daragat akesa. That indicates a very high level, which we call keser. And therefore the word kof, the oish kof, is the first word of the word keser. The first letter of the word keser. And also, if we take number, the letter kof indicates 20. And if you take the gematria of the word 20, then you get keser. And so keser is the madrege of Elokus completely beyond the Esesphere. And it's beyond Ishtalshul. So Elam has, what that indicates a very high level. And therefore Rashi explains over there in Pasha Vayetza, Rashi's Masbeh, that the word Onoichi means elevation and withdrawal. When somebody wants to say he's much greater and beyond this whole situation, he refers to himself as Anoichi. When he wants to talk about his humbleness and how he's together with everybody, and how to call it, to use the expression in English, he's one of the guys, then he uses the word Ani. And that indicates like a mixture with a lot of people. But when he says Anoichi, that sort of separates him off and makes him an elevated individual. And therefore it's interesting that when Yaakov Avinu went into Yitzchok, and Yitzchok said to him, who are you? Are you Yisrael? Are you Esau? Or what's going on around? So Yaakov Avinu said, are you Esau? And Yaakov Avinu said, Onoichi. He didn't say one by the other, he just said, I am who I am, and he used the word Onoichi. So Rashi says that by using the word Anoichi, he separated himself away from the Metzia, because he wasn't really fibbing Yaakov, because Anoichi means somebody who's not really involved in the situation. He's elevated and beyond it. Now the word Ani, if we would have said Ani, that would have linked him with what's happening. which would have meant that he would have told a straight lie.
Yeah.
But if he said Anochi, but the word Anochi indicates elevation and separateness, then he's not like that. So therefore when Hashem uses about himself the word Anochi, he's referring to how he's withdrawn beyond all the Seder of his Shaushras, and therefore the word that changes them from one to the other is the word, the Ot, which changes them one from the other, is the Ot Kov. And Kov happens to be of the Exodus and Kabbalah, it happens to be the indicatory of the Madriga of Keser, and Keser is a very, very elevated level. So therefore, the Rabbi said, Im Kain, that follows Lefizeh, that Anoichi can only be Milmaila Lamata. It's not within the power of human beings to reach the level of Anoichi by Hashem. It's therefore if Hashem reveals himself to us in the form of Anoichi, it can only be from above down. We can't reach such a level. So therefore the word Anoichi must mean Milmaila Lamata. So what's the next word? Noisei. Reye, Anoichi, Noisei. That's the next word. So the Rebbe says, Matana Elokis Anitnis Basimko. So the Rebbe said, the Indian of Noisen is a Matana. And then the Rebbe brings in the Sikha, there's a klal in the Gemara in Bava Basra, right near the end of Perek Cheskes Abatim. The Gemara brings over there that if you give somebody a matana, then you do it with ayin yofi. How to say? You do it with genuine generosity. You don't give a matana to somebody that you don't want him to feel really good about it. Mm-hmm. So that means you do everything to make it nice. And actually, there's an opinion in the Gemara over there that if you want to give somebody some land, or even under certain circumstances, even articles, you have to tell him that he shouldn't make tzedakah. He has to make a purchasing kinyan on those things. And then it will pass from your ownership into his. But with a matana, you don't have to do that. You don't have to say to him, listen, make tzedakah on this. You just walk up to him and give him the matana. There's the machlekes about it in the Gemara. There's one opinion, which is the opinion of Rabbi. He holds that you don't have to buy a matana, you just give it to the person, and you're just putting it in front of him and saying that's yours, gives him all the rights of the kinyan. And so the Gemara says, why? Because when you give a matana to somebody, you give with all your heart. So whatever was involved in that technically, that you meant that to happen anyway. You don't have to say it. You meant it anyway to happen. So we see from that a giving is a full state of generosity in the highest form from the giver. So therefore, if Hashem is giving us something, then we have to say that it's buying yofer. And that's what he means with the word simcha. Something that Hashem gives us, and therefore he gives it once again from his own self to us. So how could that work? Only from above downward. And then he says, the next word in the verse is lifneichem. Anoichi noisein, lifneichem. So the Rebbe says it, lifneichem is also amshocha milamayla mata, choideres, misamilas. Wait a minute, where am I? Amshocha milamayla mata, choideres, koidem, the pnimius ordnung. So he said that when the Eibishter gives, since the Eibishter is giving milmaila lamata, he's giving from above down, he can pierce into your pnimius first. And therefore it's a big klal in Siddur that in most places where it's written lifneichem in front of you, it really means lepnimiuschem, to your inside, your pnimius. So he said, since Hashem is giving milmaila lamata, he can pierce into your pnimius right away, and that will later affect your chitzonius. But let's say you give something to somebody, then you give it to his chitzonius first, and then you hope that he will take it into his pinimis, and he will see that as a meaningful thing in his life, and he will take it deep into himself. Of Hashem, since he's giving Maila Lamata, he gives directly into our pneumias. So therefore he says, that's the word Lifnei Chen, straight to the pneumias, and afterwards the Chitain. So the Rabbi said, Hayoim, the word Hayoim, is Mesamel Uyer V'Gilui. It's put down in many places, including in Tanya, in Shara Yuga, the Alter Rebbe brings down, that's written right at the beginning of creation, Vayikro Elokim Lo'ir Yoim, that the Eibusha called the light, he called it day. So we see that light and day are similar, how do you call it, connections, which is similar concept. And therefore the word Oir, the word of light, is connected with the idea of Yom. So the Rabbi says that the Indian of Yom is Misamel, it indicates to us the concept of Oir, the Gilui. So what is Gilui? Gilui is that Hashem is giving something, he's revealing something. If Hashem is revealing, it must be Milmailala Elamata, and not only that, he said there's another expression in the Gemara and in the Medrash, which implies that the word Hayom means a permanent concept as well. The day has got about a certain lasting, as it were, implication. So therefore he said, when we say that it implies light, it also implies Nitzchius Elokis, that it called divine everlastingness. And therefore, if so, if it's a divine everlastingness, then it must come no Mailala Matters, not no Mailala Maila. Ubracha, he said the last word in the pasuk, well, it's not the last word, but it's getting close. Yeah, bracha, yeah, Gam came, Misamelas, Am Shocha Mil Mailala, it's well known in Chassidus, that even from a bracha is something which comes from above, down like we explained before, in reference to the bracha of the Kohanim, that they are mamshik from a very high level, from above, downwards. Milamailala, telamata. Oh, so the Rebbe says, but now the Rebbe, it's very interesting. I noticed whenever I was by the Rebbe, he used to pick it up very clearly. There was all sorts of words and expressions that the Rebbe never actually said them. He never actually gave them out in his mouth, but Dvar. He just hinted that they would be. For example, once when I was in Yeshidas, I heard the Rebbe say the word misnagi. But when the Rebbe actually said to me the word misnagi, but in public, in the Fabrigans, the Rebbe never once said the word misnagi.
He said there aren't any.
Huh?
He said there aren't any.
The Rebbe wrote that in a letter. He said there aren't any. And then the Rebbe wrote, those who are not yet Hasidim, the Rebbe was saying. El Shatayin Loi, Lom to Chassidus or something like that. The Rebbe was tremendously careful. So, in public. And the same, but there's all sorts of things that are written in certain verses even, but the Rebbe never actually said it out. So the word klala, which is at the end of the pasuk, the Rebbe never mentions the word klala. In the Sikha, it's not written the word klala. You just have to pick up from what the Rebbe is saying, they're referring to it. So he's saying that the bracha, which is implied here in this verse, is such a profound bracha that it includes anyway that last word. In other words, it's such a huge bracha, because it's no matter, it just includes and changes the klala also into a bracha. In other words, that there's no word klala. Even though the word klala appears there, but since this is a bracha which is coming from Hashem, it's not really a klala, but it's also a bracha. Why? Because Hashem never says anything, no matter from him, which is negative. There's never any negative thing. So I'm going to soon tell you amazing message. Just 1 minute. So he says, that there's certain things that are so profound that they can't come in a normal way. they come what looks to be like an unfortunate thing, but he said really they are rak b'tzuras shlila. They can come in like a negative way, or even sheniro, of the way when Hashem gives a bracha milamayla, He makes it that it appears. Yeah, kamoi klola rachmanin atlan. It appears to be a klola, but it's not really. It appears to be, but it's not really. Now, and the Rabbi brings on that an amazing story, which I must share with you. What is the story? And it's a Gemara Masata Moyed Koton, Daftes Amud Aleph. It's written there that once Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai received two guests, and they were two Tanoim like him. One was Rabbi Yehuda, well, that's Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi. He was in the great. He's buried over here, it's not far. Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi, and the other one was Rabbi Yonason. But Rabbi Yonason, there's a Rabbi Yonason who was a Namara, but this means the Rabbi Yonason who was a Tana. And they came to visit Rashbi. And it's written that they spoke with him and they had a whole meal together and everything. And then they said they have to go, so they left. And they went. All of a sudden Rashbi says to his son, and it's interesting, the Gemara doesn't mention his name, it just says Lebenoi. And we only know one son, who was Rabbi Elazar. But it doesn't mention his name, Rabbi Elazar. Anyway, he says, Rashbi, he says to his son, run after those two men and get their blessing. You follow? Because they are very special people. He said, Ki anshe tzura heim. They are people of shape, you know. They're people of, that he called very high order. He said, you should run after them. Get their blessing. So the Rashbi's son runs after him, and he says, I've come to ask you for your blessing. So it's written that they said to him two terribly sharp things. They said very, very, you know, I don't really want to go into the translation. Sharp. So, you know, he heard this, and it's written that he was in Tsar. From what they said, he was in Tsar, and he ran back to his father, and he said, you know, Shiur, they made me feel bad, you know. So Rabbi said, what did they say? So he said, kach v'kach. So Rabbi begins by saying, you should realize that everything they say is only a blessing. First of all, he made that general statement, and then he explained how the detail of the bad words they used could really be understood as meaning blessings. And really, these were very high, how to call it, a type of blessing. You understand? So the Malchus brings in a big long footnote that the Malchus deals with this thing, and he said not that Rabbi Elazar doubted that they had given him a blessing, even though he heard from these terrible words. His tar, this is just amazing, but the Malchus, he learned a piece of Gemara. The Malchus said that his tar wasn't because he heard these sharp words. His tar was that he couldn't understand it. And he had tar from the fact that he didn't know what they meant. But he didn't doubt them that they'd only said broken. That's what the Malchus meant. And so he says to the father, they caused me tzar, I don't understand what they're saying. That's the tzar. But he was sure that they meant a brother. So the Rabbi explained to him in detail what the brother was. And then there's another pshat in the Malchus. He said, Odia Shlema Shomaiti. That's very rare for the Malchus to write that. He said, I heard a pshat. They swapped the Malchus, but he said the whole reason why they said to him something like that was they knew he would have to go and ask his father, and they wanted him to go and ask his father because when his father, who was the Rabbi, when he explained to his son what they meant, then he added his bracha. He automatically got a bracha from his father as well. In other words, by explaining what they meant, he also got a bracha from the Rabbi. That's the difference. And a bracha from the Rabbi, that's really worth money. That's what the Mashal brings. So the Rebbe brings over there an amazing thing. So the Rebbe says, from that we understand that Rabbi Elazar never really had any doubt. And his problem was only the pshat, what did it really mean? But the Rebbe said, what about all the ordinary people who learn the Gemara, and before they get to the end of the story, they're in Tsar. So he said, you're just an ordinary man, and you learn that Rabbi Elazar ran after these guys, and they said, so the ordinary reader gets it like, he gets a shock, and he has to wait till it's written that Rabbi Elazar went back, and he said to his father, and then Rabbi said no, but in the end he get to the shock. So the Rebbe writes that that's part of the whole complaint, that it means that all the people who are ever going to learn that sugya are going to be in Tsar. That's what Rabbi Elazar meant. In other words, even deeper, Rabbi Elazar never had any doubts on his own mind. He was only worried about all the people who would learn the Gemara in generations to come. And the Rebbe's got to prove, because he didn't say Shiur oti. He didn't say they made me feel bad. It's written Shiur otanu. They made us feel bad. So the Rebbe said, who's us? Us is all the people who are going to learn. Feel it further. You see the way the Rebbe gets into it. It's Moish, and the Malchus, Chidush Kedoshim. Anyway, so we see from, what are we thinking about? That there's certain things that they come in a negative word, but they really imply great things. So that's what happens here, that since Hashem is giving the bracha, the fact that there's the word klola there doesn't bother us, because the word klola gets changed into bracha. And therefore, the Rebbe is very careful in the whole sikha not to mention the word klola. He doesn't say the word. Vim Cain, says the Rebbe, so I've put you an amazing case that all these things are milmaila lamata. How does that fit with the fact that Choy Deshel is all milamata maila? So they seem to be opposite theme altogether. The Imkain, Keita Nitan Lakasha Parsha, Shakol Kuli Hamshocha Milamaila. It would see that it's all Hamshocha Milamaila Lamata, Lachidish El, Shemavata Davka, Yisoyres Milamata, Ani Ladoidis, Davka Milmata Lamaila. So the Rebbe said, how do they fit together? So the Rebbe says like this, Nitan Lataritz, it's given a possibility to say an answer. Lataritz means to give an answer. Bekak. Shechoy Deshel Mahave Ches Ben Tzedek. We learned in last week's parsha, if you remember, that Choy Deshel is called the Chodesh of Cheshbon. That you've got to make a righteous summing up of yourself during Choy Deshel. So he said, but however, that Cheshbon that you have to make is lo rak alavidus ha'odam melamata. That's not only referring to the alavidus ha'odam melamata, ela af alavidosei begilui nishmosei. In other words, that there's a certain part of the odam which is not his making, klal. And even though he may try to obey the things that tells him and everything, but he's only benefiting from that. He's not adding to it, and that's your neshama. Your neshama is a chelik elakah me mal. Mal means that it's come to you from Malchus lamata. So he said, all you can do with that is be megala. So he said, apart from your making a cheshbon tzedek, you've got to carry out an avodah which brings your neshama, which is a God-given thing, into Gilui. Shazui avodah, milamayla mata, because the ultimate in of the neshama is the thing which is given. Thanks very much. It was just given. Milamaila Lamata, thanks to you, the square. It's given Milmaila Lamata, and therefore each part of the Avodah be'emes the Milmaila Lamata. So the Rebbe said, Nekuda zu, Huzbara Barchova B'Sikha Akodemet. That was in Pasha Eker. We spoke about things of this nature at length in last week's thing. V'shom Huzba, and over there it was explained, Gam Shaha Yom HaRishon B'Rosh Chodesh Elul Kosher L'Cheshbon HaNefesh Shel HaAveda Milamayla Lamata. The Rebbe learned over there in the Sikha, if you remember, he said there are always 2 days in Rosh Chodesh Elul, and the first day of Rosh Chodesh Elul is connected with where you do a cheshbon on things which have come to you Milamayla Lamata. In other words, how much did you really take into your life what was given to you Milamayla Lamata, and how much did you try to reveal it in detail in your life? So the Rebbe said it so happens, where are we? He says, Kosher l'cheshbon hanefesh al avodah milmayla lamata. V'lochein, hu yoytze b'Shabbos, she'b'Shabbos lo misaskim kol kach im ho ilon. So the Rebbe says that since, as it were, the first day of Rosh Chodesh Elul has got to do with this Indian. He said, in our particular Kriyas, the way it comes out this year, that it so happens that it comes out on Shabbos. So the Rebbe said that's fitting, because on Shabbos, we don't busy ourselves with the world. We're busy only with things which are given us milmayla lamata. So there he said we deal with our neshama, we do things like learning and davening and all those in Yonim. And he said, it so happens that at P.Reye, and we explained that P.Reye is talking about Avodah Milmayla Lamata, and that's a Inyan from Shabbat. And therefore, we should say, says the Rebbe, that the first day of Rosh Chodesh has got to do more with Avodah Milmayla Lamata, and that comes out very fittingly, and it fits in very beautifully with Shabbos. And therefore, there's no question that it's like 2 days. First of all, the first day is busy, particularly with Milmayla Lamata, and the second day moves into the area more of Milmatala Lamata. So then there won't really be a clash between them anymore. Like we're saying that there is a clash, so the Rabbi said we divided it into 2 days. One day got to do more with that, and this day got more to do with that. And the Rabbi makes it even more wonders, and he says that Chodesh, the Chodshei HaKayet, according to Kabbalah, the months of the summer are what we call the Gilui Elokus Milmayla Lamata. So he said that Elul comes out as like the end of the summer. So he said the things which are mamish near to Elul, and what have you been living through immediately when you come to Elul, is the summer month. So he said, therefore you've got a tendency to lean in the direction of the summer month, and therefore we consider this that the Ikar part of the first step in Chodesh Elul is to deal with the things that you're closer to. He said, however, in the next day of Rosh Chodesh Elul will be the day leading into the next part, and that's the winter months which are coming. And he said the winter months are, according to Kabbalah, got to do with Milmatala Lamayla. So he said that'll fit in very nicely that this year happens to be Shabbos. So on Shabbos we're busy with things which are more Milmayla Lamata. They're closer to us because they're the summer. And afterwards, the first day of next week, which is Yom Rishon, that will have to do with the coming portion, which is the winter. That's Milmatala Lamayla. So that's more the Inyan of Ani Ladoidi, more the Inyan from Milmatala Lamayla. That's how the Rebbe explained it. However, the Rebbe doesn't like that. He said a long teretz, and then he dismisses the teretz. He said that's not good. So I have to apologize, because it's a little bit like the old story when there's a little joke that you come to someone and say, listen, do you happen to know where this street is, or this area is? And so he explains to you a whole beer. He says, look, you have to go here and you go around there and you go, then you'll find this. And then he says, so you're all ready. You say, oh, thank you, you start moving. And he says, oh, I'm sorry, but that's not the street. He said, it's in that old general area, but after that is the real street. So that's an old joke for what we find by the great Meforshim in the Gemara, that they often build up a whole terrace.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Oh, you've got that. And then all of a sudden they say, but that's not the real terrace. You have to work hard to get further. That's exactly what the Rabbi does here. You build up a very nice case in that terrace, and he said, but I don't really hold from that terrace. That's what the Rabbi said. Not that he's saying it's not true, or it doesn't hold together. He just thinks that something more exact can be found. So, I don't know if you guys are really quiet, but that's what we're going to do now.
Yeah.
L'chaim,
L'chaim, l'chaim.
You,
That'll help. Strong.
good coffee. So he now says, Ulam, atayin mistavel loima, says the Rabbi. Nonetheless, it's more, according to reasoning, to say that P.Reye, Kashura Gam, Yelavedus Hashem, Abo Melamata Lamaila. In other words, we've been saying that P.Reye is all Melamata Lamata. Sort of like a steer to Chodesh Elul. So now he's going to say no, even though I've pointed out all these things, then nonetheless I'm going to tell you that the avodah of Reye has also got to do with Melmata L'Mayla. Lamrish, yes, he chilik michodshe akayit, despite the fact that it's part of also the months of the summer, by him avodah matchila davke Melmata it begins with Nisan, then it goes into the summer, it's all Melmata Lamata. So he's P.Reye is part of that. So why would it be Davki Melmata Lamaila? And we made a huge case. It was Melmata Lamata. Omnam is a P.Reye, Chola Tomid B'Chodesh O. Now here the Rabbi begins with a very interesting thing. He says the first day of Rosh Chodesh, El is always 30th of all. It's only the second day is the first day of El. So the Rebbe says even if we'll say when it's Shabbos Mavochim and not Rosh Chodesh, it also occurs in all. It's more into Ov than even what it is now. So he says, P.Reye Chol Tomid B'Chodesh O. אבל תמיד היא מברכת את חודש אלול, או שהיא חלק מראש חודש אלול. שבו העבודה העיקרית הוא מלמטה למעלה. So the Rabbi says, the very fact that all, how do you call it, Chodesh Reye, I'm sorry, has got to do with the summer and so on, ain't no. But he says, since it's linked so ultimately with Chodesh Elul, it must have to do with Melmata L'Mayla also. And then he gives another reason. Gam Chodesh Ov Atzmei, Boi Kurim Tomid P.Reye, like we said, P.Reye always comes out in Ov, or the last day of Ov, Kosher L'Chodesh Tishrei. Now the Indian of Chodesh Ov has got a kesher with Tishrei. Well, this is a new one. What sort of kesher does Ov have with Tishrei? So he says, Ki hechel mites vov bi'ov, mechamish ozo bi'ov, matchilim liachel ish l'reyehu, kasiva v'chasima toivo. And it's fascinating, that's put down in Sforim, the Lav Davchi Chabad Sforim, that from the 15th of Ov, you can already wish people Achsiv and Achsim Toivo. There's a sign that half of Chodesh Ov is already getting towards Tishrei. When you say to somebody Achsim or Achsim Toivo, what do you mean? After Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
There's a siman that Chodesh Ov has got a kesher with Tishrei. Yeah, that's very interesting. And then he says even more. Yeah, he said, "Regam Roshi Tevis, yeah, shall mazel Aryeh." It's one under all the Chadoshim of mazolas astrologically. They have what's called a mazal. So it's one under the mazal of Ov is Aryeh. Aryeh is a lion, you know. And Aryeh is Aleph Reish Yud Hey. So he said, "Amazal shel Chedesh Ov." He said, so he says that Aryeh, where are we? El. How does that have to do with El? So he says, Rosh Hashanah, Yom HaKippurim, yeah, Hoshana, Rabbi. So I think the word El here could possibly be a misprint, and maybe he means the Indian of Tishrei, because he was saying that Ov's got a connection with Tishrei. And so Ov is Mazel Aryeh, and Aryeh is how they call it, Elu, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim, Hoshana Rabbah. And what is Hoshana Rabbah? Hoshana Rabbah is already the psak din that goes out in Melmaila, and everybody's given these, what he called his kvittel. By the Polish Chassidim on Hoshana Rabbah, they wish one another a good kvittel. Yeah, but that wasn't the custom in Lubavitch. You didn't wish one another a good kvittel, but that happens to be the case. It's written in the Zohar Kodesh that they give out on Hoshana Rabbah. Yeah, they call it pitka. What do they call them? How do you say a pitka? A tetzel. A little tetzel. All these thousands of tetler go out of the Beis Din Shomaila, and it's written in every one of them what's going to be for you that year. Yeah. And therefore, some people on the night of Rosh Hashanah Rabbah do all sorts of tricks to try and work out what's written in their kvittel. You guys are battling. It's brought down in the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch. The Ramah brings a whole trick that people used to do. They used to put something in water and put it out in the air and something. And if it turned a certain color, then they knew that this would turn another color or something. A whole way of knowing what's written in your kvittel. Yeah. And the Ramah says that even though Indians say emes, avo einu kedai she'odam yitasek b'zeh. The Ramah says it's not good, you should do it. Why? Because you're not supposed to know everything.
Yeah.
It's not good that you know everything. And they write the Ramah. And it's written there in the Zohar Kodesh, a very amazing thing, that the Eibusha gives out all these kvitla. However, he says that you can still change the kvittel, mamish at the last minute.
Wow.
And it's mashma there in the Zohar that if you have a few good thoughts on a Shavah and Rabbah by night, when they're already giving out the kvitla, but if you have a few good thoughts, then the Eibusha gives these kvitla into the hands of what he calls over there like policemen, shotrim. And what do all these shotrim do? They take all the kvitla and tear them up. If they were negative. They take them, why? Because the Eibusha said he just heard from Milmata that this guy's done some tshuva, or he's thought a good thought, or something. As they state in the there.
Tehillim half the night isn't good enough. Tehillim half the night isn't good enough.
Half the night is saying Tehillim. Well, not according to the Rebbe. You know that on Hoshana Rabbah, the Rebbe used to say that Tehillim a quarter of an hour less time than what he did on Shabbos Mavochim.
Fast.
Yeah, very fast. Because on Shabbos Mavochim, he used to say 5. But on Hoshana Rabbah, you beat it with a quarter of an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
15 minutes faster?
You guys are all, I don't know how you get you guys excited. But the Rebbe used to come down, they used to start, and the Rebbe was ahead of the, what do you call it, the Shliach Tzibur. He would be, and the Rebbe would already be in the next capital, D, by the time he finished the previous capital. And he would be sort of looking the whole time, and he could see the Rebbe's telling him. He was rushing to keep up with the Rebbe. So that's not half of the night. But you do it. By you, it's half the night.
Deep into the night.
Anyway, I was there once in Shana River several times. I just couldn't keep up with the river. No way. I was I just couldn't keep up. Even the P.Reye, he couldn't keep up. On Shabbos Mavochim, he used to hold exactly with the river. But on Shana River, even he was behind the river. Yeah. The Rabbi says the Rabbi Kumtais that P.Reye is Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim, Oishana, Rabbi. So Kumtais, that the word P.Reye has got a little bit of Elul connected with it, but it's all connected with Tishrei. As if it's connected with Tishrei, it's connected with Momaila Mata, and it's connected with a good year, and Aksima Teiva, and even a good kvittel. So the Rebbe said, Asiyum shall P.Reye oisa bedini Chag. If you look in P.Reye, right at the end, there's written the three regalim. That's written Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. So he says, Chag HaSukkos ta'aseh l'chol. The Sukkos, כמו כל חודש תשרי, שייכת דווקא לעבודה מלמטה למעלה. He said that's in Yonah, they got to do with milmata l'mayla. So we see in Cain that the first day of Rosh Chodesh El, which is Shai Ta'or, that makes it also Shai to Tishrei, and Tishrei is milmata l'mayla. In Cain, that means that it's also milmata l'mayla. So we've somehow found a fusion between the P.Reye and the first day of Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is Ov, and that sort of joins them all together. Even though the Rebbe is not denying that there's a very big aspect of Chodesh Ov that does have to do with Malchus, because it's from the Chodshei HaKayim. But he said there's a tremendous aspect of it. As in Cain, the Rebbe says, Shuv nishelet ha'sheila, Ketzad nitan lakasher P.Reye im avoda milmata l'mayla. How can we really get the whole P.Reye, particularly the first part of it, we're also in milmayla l'mata? How do you get it involved in milmata l'mayla? Ain't the the end of it, yeah, but the rest of it. So the Rebbe says the most amazing thing now, and this is mamish. So indicatory of the Rebbe's approach to everything. And that is that the Rebbe says that the truth of the matter is that it's not that 100% right and not this 100% right. The Eibishter didn't mean ever in anything he did, the Eibishter never meant that there be two extremities or two possibilities. So here we've got two possibilities. In Rosh Chodesh Elul, we got one day indicates more, the Inafil Malmayla Lamata, and the other day indicates more Malmata. But we just found a few indications that you can also put the Malmata Lamayla also into the first day. So the Rebbe said in Kekuntais that you've got like a confusion, you've got two different inyanim. So the Rebbe says that's not what the Eibishter want. The Eibishter wanted these two opposite and what appear to be contrasting factors should be joined together. And that the real emes is that you have to make a fusion between the two possibilities. In other words, that the milmata l'mayla and the milmayla l'mata have got to join together. Now if that happens, if I join the milmata l'mayla with the milmayla l'mata, milmata l'mayla is the mensch. So the mensch is mugbal. Yeah? Milmayla l'mata is not mugbal. Anoichi, that's from Hashem. How he is l'mayla mikol ha-medidas v'agbolim. So how are we going to join them together? So the Rabbi says it's a sign that you, as a man, have got to become unlimited. Yeah. You've got to become unlimited, and if you will become unlimited and go out of all your hakbolas altogether, then you'll link up with the Eibishter, Doidi Li, and then it'll be a nice connection. Kaviyol, Hashem will join together with you because you've made yourself like Him.
Wow.
And Hashem will say, oh, this guy's really, he's really going out of his kalim, then I can come down and unite with him. Follow?
Yep.
So the question is, how do you go out of all your bolas? So the Rebbe says, we spoke before about the neshama, and we said that you've got inside yourself a milmaila lamata. What's that your neshama? So he said, as long as you view your neshama as something you deal with all your koiches, with with your mind and your feelings and all that, that can be holy and it can be good, but it's limited. How much you know, how much can you feel? It's limited. He said, oh, there's a piece inside you, which is a piece of the Eibishter. What's that? He said, that's the Yechida. Yechida Shebenefesh. If you wake up your Yechida Shebenefesh, you go beyond limitation altogether. And then you're no longer limited to brain power and feeling. How do you call it? You go out of your kalim, completely. And the government, then there's this guy's gone out of his kalim. He's completely beyond limitation. Now we can join together. And the Rabbi said, that's the Emersein and Fanel. So what happens when that happens? It comes out that the Ani Ladoidi is Milmata Lamaila, but it's really, also Milmaila Lamata. And the Avis to it, he's Milmaila Lamata, he's completely Milmaila Lamata. But you join up with him. And if that's the case, then he can give himself out, he's completely Milmaila Lamata. He can give you in a way of Anoichi. So what it means is you've got to get out of your cave. That's what it basically means. You hear that, Australia?
England.
You've got to get out of it. You see, Australia's very...
He's British.
English.
He's British. He's British.
He's British?
Yeah.
Oh, even more so.
Meaning less.
Even more so. The British are very, very,
Proper.
You've got to get out of your caving altogether, and then he'll be a good and faithful show. That's funny, I thought you were Australian.
No.
I didn't realize that. Show him a look. All right, so let's read. So I'm just going to give you now a prelude. You know what a prelude is? So the Rabbi says, I'm most amazed at the end of the Sikha. He said, if you get out of your keglim and you get beyond Hagbolas, then you're holding by the good. You're holding by the good. And he said, there's one of the Rosh Chodesh, one of the Rosh Tevas of Elul, which is in the Shiras Hayam. And it's written, Shira li Hashem, Vayem, Shira Hashem, Vayem Lemoyer. And that's Rosh Tevas Elul. And Shira Hashem, Vayem Lemoyer, that's when Yidden were completely, all the enemies were sunken in the sea, and they went out beyond Rama, and all the sea split and everything. Yeah. So the Rabbi said, that's the Emerson concept of Geula. He said, if you're holding by B'li HaGbolas, and you've joined up with Hashem, how he's completely beyond HaGbolas, then you come to that Rosh Tevas of Ashira Hashem, Vayemru Leimah, and then the Rabbi said, you're holding by the Gula Shleimah. He said, Miller, if you're holding by the Gula Shleimah, then you have to tell somebody else about it. That's what the Rabbi said. You hear that, Levi? You don't hear it?
I missed it.
The Rabbi said, if you're really holding beyond Hagbolas, and you come to the union with Hashem, how he's beyond all limitations, then you're holding by the Gula. So what are you going to do? If you're holding by the Gula, you've got to tell other people about it.
Right.
And the Rebbe says, a lot of people are not so quite convinced. It's written in the Sikha. Right at the end. The Rebbe said, I know when I'm saying all this, there's a lot of people who are not quite convinced yet. That's what the Rebbe said. So the Rebbe said that doesn't stop them from talking about the Gula. So the Rebbe says, people have to put up with your problem. You have a problem. Well, why should the world suffer from your problem? That's what the Rebbe said. Why should the world suffer from your problem? You have a problem, but the Mashiach's got to come. Mashiach's got to come to the whole world. So you say you've got a problem, but the world has to suffer because you have a problem. That's what the Rebbe said. And he says that if you only talk about the Geula to other people and you take part, you will feel the Geula yourself. That's what he writes at the end. That's what he writes at the end of the whole Arichas Hain. So I've tried to give you some sort of picture of it. But what it comes out is that there's a whole new concept now of Ani L'Doidi V'Doidi Li. As if we started off thinking Ani L'Doidi meant my limitation, and I give myself to Hashem, and He helps me. So the Rebbe says it's not like that at all. Ani L'Doidi means that you've got to be also Milmai you've got to be completely out of your whole limit. You've got to be holding by Yechida. You've got to be held by complete and utter devotion. And then you bring down Hashem, He's Anoichi, completely and utterly beyond all limitation. And that's all. And he said, there's 2 days of it. One day is Shabbos. And Shabbos, you're given the best opportunity to get into that gear. You move into that gear, you've got nothing to do on Shabbos. What do you have to do on Shabbos? Except daven, and learn, and talk about the Geula. That's what the Rebbe said. Daven and learn and talk about good things. Be eager about the Geula. And remember that Shabbos. And remember Shabbos, you can move into this Li Hagbola. So then you come back into Sunday, and it's the world, but you're already burning with the Ani L'Doidi, L'Mayla L'Mata, Am L'Mata L'Mayla. So then you come into Sunday, right, you burn the whole Sunday out. You change integrally the whole Sunday. And instead of being an ordinary weekday, it's also a day of unity and Gilui Elokus, and a day leading to the Gula Shleima. That's what the Rebbe said. It's a pili, it's an absolutely mind-boggling concept. And then the Rebbe says, you can move into the whole in of the Gula Shleima, and you have a new Rosh Hashanah of Chodesh. You've got your Ani L'Doidi V'Doidi Li in the highest and best possible way. Then you move into Shiur Ayem Rulei. Then you move into Rosh Hashanah Zavel, which is pretty cool. And then he said, you take that out into the world, and you give it to everybody else. And the Rebbe said he can't understand how it's been the whole year, Tovshin Nun Aleph, which is Niflois Areno, and Mashiach hasn't come to him. Very admitted in the Sikha, the Rebbe said, 11 full months of the year, which is mamish fitting for the Geula, and Mashiach hasn't come. We have no idea. Levi,
Hey.
you have to go, right?
Yeah.
So listen, when you have a moment tomorrow, give me a call. It's just mind-blowing. We have no idea. I was once there by the river, and it was a rally for the children, Tzivus Hashem. It was Hanukkah, I remember. It was Hanukkah. I was only Hanukkah once for a year. So I was there, and there was this beautiful rally, hundreds of, and the Rebbe came down, and the Rebbe spoke for the children. And it's one on, the Rebbe used to say, oh, Sikha, how much the kids really understood, nobody knows. But the Rebbe used to talk to them, in a slightly lower tone than what he spoke to the Siddim, but it was big, So anyway, the Rebbe got on to the Indian of the Gula Shleima. And you have no idea, the Rebbe just poured out And he just said that the whole world wants a Geula, and the whole world is ready for the Geula. All we got to just tell them about it and just keep hammering him and bring it to the world. But the world is ready and everybody's ready. And then I remember the Rebbe said, "Afila de Palestina," he shouted. And the Rebbe never used that expression. He said, even the Palestinians. He never used that word.
He's right.
He
He's
said,
right.
Yeah.
He's right.
He said, if you will tell them the right things, and you'll tell them the Shiva Mitzvahs when they know it, and that's the way that's leading to the Geula Shlema, and you will tell them that there is such a thing as the Geula Shlema, they will stop being enemies.
Well,
I'm telling you, I heard it. And the Rebbe, all these kids, and the Rebbe is telling the kids. So I thought to myself, what's going on? Why is the Rebbe to tell the children this? The Rebbe was using the children to tell Hashem, He had to come down and speak for the children, but what he really wanted to get a message on the day of Hanukkah, he wanted to get a message to heaven.
now
Children are the best salesmen.
And so
They're the best
So
salesmen.
the best way to get that message to heaven is to go through the children.
what are the children now that are grown up, right?
Huh?
Those children are now grown up. They're now adults.
Something blown up?
No, I say those children are now adults.
Huh?
Those children are now adults.
He said,
They're grown up.
when they have
Hopefully they're
kids.
doing what the Rabbi said to do about the Palestinians,
They're
to
different
erase.
children because they heard it, and they're different grown ups because they heard it. And now there's other children coming along as well.
Yes.
No, I know, but
But the Rebbe says that there's no time anymore.
what does that mean?
No time anymore. We have to bring the Gula, take him out.
There's no more time. We've got to
A kid knows, a
Yeah.
child knows how to get what he wants.
Yeah.
A child knows what he wants and he's going to get it.
Oh.
And nothing is going to stop him.
Yeah.
And this is Jewish, this is a Yid. I'm going to do this. You never hear the Rebbe say, we'll try, let's try. No. Little children don't try. They get what they want and they're going to get it now.
Yeah, the very
And nothing is going to stand.
There's a very famous story that supports that principle about the Tzanz Arov. The Tzanz are sitting down there. The Dvar when he was a boy, when he was a young boy, he said to his father that he needs an apple. He'd like to have an apple.
Say what? I didn't hear.
So
The sons are...
the Dvar the first time, when he was a young, I don't know if tzaddikim were a young kid, but when he was young, he said, so the father said, no, you can't have an apple right now. His father...
Oh, he made a bracha.
His father, for some reason, didn't want to give him an apple. Some in him. So the next thing he hears that the Dvar started making a bracha.
Yeah.
He started shouting, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu, P.Reye, P.Reye. Yeah. And so the father had to rush and get him and give him. In other words, the children have got their ways of getting.
Yeah.
And you can't, who can deny them? It's so pure. I mean, I used to be in retail.
Where are those kids now?
And you could see, or when I was in the Scouts, we had the Cub Scouts. I would go to the door, with the tickets and everything. He's a nice kid, give them. People can't say no because you're just like, you're pure.
And they made peace
Simple.
with the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Not complicated, like there's nothing behind your words.
Yeah.
You just want Mashiach.
So they don't know of any, ceremonies.
There's nothing behind them. There's nothing there.
Why did they go?
Yes, simple.
That's why he says there's no plot.
No agenda.
It's just straight.
I forget these things. A kid here saying, "Look, can you remember everything somebody told you when you were 7 years old?"
So what it means is that on Shabbos we're going to wake up and get cracking. That we're going to be both Lamata Mamayla and Little Maila Lamata together. We're going to join everything. And then we bring down Hashem, how he is. L'mayla mikol l'mayla.
Amen, amen.
Philip first.